wants to be king!
Welcome to the War Room, man. As I've said many times, one of the most rewarding parts of this channel is the community that I've been able to build. And I like to give a shout out to men who directly influence this work. And I like to do so in this moment and give a shout out and a sincere thanks to my man Kareem Spirit Works. This man has helped me behind the scenes fill in a lot of the blanks and come to a better understanding of a lot of the things that have pulled at my soul along this journey that I've bestowed upon myself. So before I get into the content today, I want to salute to my brother and thank you from the bottom of my soul. In the last video, I was talking about the case in Wisconsin with the teenager that was on trial for defending himself. And I had an expectation that that was going to be received with a different level of acceptance or rejection from different people, but some of the comments that I got, some of the rhetoric that I got was pretty telling, and it let me know that there was still some culling that needed to happen on this channel, because a lot of people came into the fold off of the Fresh and Fit drama, and I would guess that a good population of those people really don't belong here. And the Shaniqua and the dumbass who decided that I was no longer relevant to the common man because I didn't want to preach on this blind racism of this Rittenhouse case, you know, and the further what he really said, the thing that he said that really made me realize how stupid some people are and really solidified my decision to remove myself from whatever class that society decided to try to put me in. This dude said that I was under the delusion that I was accepted. I thought that I fit in with the white folks. I think that's very laughable, because if you're honest with it, if you can be honest with yourself about the situation that we see being perpetuated in the street and who's doing it, the people who desperately want to fit in with the white folks and desperately want to be accepted by the white folks isn't people like me who know who we are and know where we stand and think freely for ourselves and base our decisions and our opinions on things with facts and not emotions in the hand of a hidden master. You know, that's exactly what the problem is these activists and these crybabies and the looters and vandals and criminals that believe that they're, you know, part of a revolution. They're begging for more from masses' plate. You know, that might sound like a harsh thing to say, but the reason why I feel the way that I feel, the reason why I view these matters in America the way that I do, and basically don't subscribe to the propaganda narrative, is because I was raised by a strong black woman who was the daughter of a sharecropper, and she didn't prescribe to that narrative. My great-great-grandmother was part of that system, and the things that she taught us, the things that she taught my grandmother, the things that my grandmother gave us, it wasn't this slave, Kunta Kinte, Chicken George narrative. You know, massa needs to do some more for me, sir. Do something else for me, sir. You owes me something for something that happens to all of that bootlicking shit. My grandmother didn't subscribe to that. You know, there was a common narrative when I was a kid, and this is who my grandmother was. Some dummy at school told us that, you know, black people had to work 10 times harder to start on the soccer team. And when I said that, my grandmother, instead of pushing it down or vaulting it up, what she said was, if that's true, then you'll be 10 times better than you are right now, even if you're better than him right now. Then you'll be 11 times better than he is if you got to work 10 times harder. And that's the kind of mentality that she gave me. But one of the biggest things that really, one of the foundational things that changed the way that I looked at race and my position in America was when I first moved in with my grandmother. I got into a situation with the kid. I knocked his front teeth out, and along the way of growing up, one of the older kids gave us a tool for our toolbox, and he said, anytime you get into it with a white dude, just say that he called you a nigger. You won't get in trouble. And so I just moved to Fresno, and this white dude said something to my brother about my mom, and at that time I was highly defensive of my mother. And so I had no conversation for the dude. My brother pointed him out. I went over there and tuned him up, and I ended up getting kicked out of school the second day I was at this school. And when I went to the house, I thought, I'm good to go, man. They told me I was suspended, then I had to come back for OCS, and I thought when I got to the crib that I was going to be good. And so when I got there, my grandmother came home and her whole movements were different. I knew something was wrong. I didn't know she was connected to everybody in the town, and the principal had already called her because he had to deal with all the other kids that my grandmother was forced to raise because the adults who birthed us were irresponsible. And so when I got to the house, she got home, she was a little bit different. I could tell something was wrong, and she asked me what happened. And I told her, the white boy called me a nigger, so I hit him. She's like, okay, let me see if I understand this straight. And she started winding up this this cord from the rotary phone, long ass cord. And she started winding this up, and my brother and my sister, they knew what it was. They left. I was still brand new, so I didn't know what she was doing. So she told me, she's like, so you knocked that boy's teeth out because he said a word to you. I was like, yeah, he called me a nigger. And she said, I don't care what he called you. She said, are you one? And in that moment, I was stumped because up to that point, that's, in the neighborhood, in our culture, that's all we heard. Nigga, come here, little nigga. If you weren't in trouble, you would thought your name was little nigga. So when my grandma, when she asked me this question, I didn't know how to answer it. And I got stuck. And that's when she told me, she said, listen, man, your reaction to that boy saying that to you proves that you're acting like a nigga. And so, she gave me a sermon before she aired me out with that phone cord. And she taught me a lesson. After I stopped crying, she came in and she laced me up and she said, listen, man, you're gonna hear a lot of stuff as you grow up. She said, but no matter what a person says to you, no matter what somebody calls you, unless you believe what they say, unless you believe the word that they call you, unless you believe that you're a nigger, it don't matter what they say. If nobody puts their hands on you, you ain't got no problem with them. Most people don't even know what they're saying when they say that word. And so as I got older, I started watching it, and it was just, she was right. A lot of people who use that word, a lot of my peers, they were just repeating what their dumb parents said, or whoever was their influence that said that word so freely back in the day. And so as I got a little bit older, I started having different experiences in my life because I'm a zebra, and I got tension from both sides. So a long time ago, I decided I wasn't gonna try to be black. I wasn't gonna try to be white. This is gonna be me. It's gonna be a man. And when I got into college, I got introduced to the civil rights leaders, the civil rights movements, and I started learning the difference in the ideology of black people. And basically, you've got two camps. You got your W.B. Du Bois camp, your Booker T. Washingtons. You got your Martin Luther King Jr. camp and your Malcolm X's. And the difference between those camps is pretty drastic, because on the W.B. Du Bois camp, it's, black man can't be liberated without the white man helping him. The white man, educating him and showing him what to do. And then on the Booker T stance, Booker T said the black man can liberate himself. He just needs to be taught the proper skills and everything that he needs to know so he can build his own for his own. And that's a different stance. The liberal establishment doesn't like that Booker T talk. They like that W.B. Du Bois talk. They like it to where they can have the elbow in your back and dictate where you go. And the same was the difference between Malcolm and Martin. You know, Martin wanted to kumbaya and go into diners and have coffee served to him next to white folks and force their way into this integration. And Malcolm was just like, listen, man, we don't want to integrate. We can just separate. And they don't want separation, because separation, and what Malcolm was saying was, black people, instead of leaning on white people and depending on white people and begging from white people to do what they needed to do, is do for their own by themselves. Use the resources that are available to you and build your own business, build your own industry, and employ your own people. But the truth of the matter is if you look at it, if you're honest, all the stuff that people cry about, they don't invest in their own. They want to talk about the neighborhood being what it is, but where are the black investors, all the rich moguls with the chains and flashing money and all that shit? Where's their project cleanup effort? None of these people really do anything for the population that makes them rich, that buys their bullshit. And so, because I was given a brain of my own, because I was raised by a strong black woman who didn't buy into the narrative of white supremacy and black people being less than simply because of color, and because I was a zebra and was castigated by both sides, I said fuck both sides and picked the side of just being a man, and chose the path of trying to be a good man. And so when I look at all of this chaos today, and having experienced real prejudice and real, I guess you could call it racism, in people thinking that they were better than me, it was always been up to me whether or not what they said was true. And once you realize that as a black man, as a black woman in America, and stop begging the white man for approval, stop letting these white liberals wire you up and tell you how to feel and tell you who's your enemy because they can't defeat these people or whatever their problem is, instead of listening to people tell you how to feel, respect yourself. Learn to respect yourself. You know, the Kyle Rittenhouse case gave me a little hope, because BLM in all of these useful idiots that have taken to the streets and are crying injustice because a white man burned 3 felons that thought it was smart to go try to disarm him with a rifle while taking part of illegal riots, and judged and tried by all white people. BLM and all the activists are proven, in fact, that all lives indeed matter. You see, the reason why I don't get involved in the racist talk, the reason why I don't indulge myself and seek out systemic racism, is because I know what systems are racist. And I know what needs to be fixed. I can see what needs to be fixed, but it's not dumbing down the schools. It's not making everybody stupid because you raise stupid children. It's not tearing down a country because the country made some mistakes and then proving it by encouraging people to do the same exact thing that they're supposed to be protesting against. None of this makes any sense. Why I don't get involved in this is because I can see the truth. I don't get involved in this because I can see that America, while she's made some mistakes, is a great country. We have a lot of potential, but we've got a lot of stupid people that are easily wired up to believe that their is-ism is the most important thing, and they're begging for a system that will truly be oppressive. I don't concern myself with the opinion of people who don't like me. I don't concern myself with trying to get into places where I'm not welcome. The reason why I don't get involved in all this racist propaganda, first of all, because I'm not an idiot. Second of all, because I don't concern myself with the thoughts, opinions, and the beliefs of people who hate me. Out.
The black man in America for the past 400 years has been like a boy in the white man's house, begging the white man for a job, for food, clothing, and shelter. And then after the white man provides him with all of these things, he turns around and has the nerve to get angry at the white man when the white man tries to control his life. The whites who came here only, say 50 years ago as immigrants have come into this country. They have set up businesses. They've developed these businesses into an industry. Some of them came here as poor immigrants, uneducated, and yet today they're economically independent. Now, the black man here was so-called free by Lincoln 100 years ago. the black man in America has a purchasing power of $20 billion. Now, and he's educated. If the white man can come here uneducated and as an immigrant, and within 10 or 15 years set up an industry that provides job opportunities and educational opportunities for black people, then if the black man, the black leadership, who has access to all of this money and has all of these degrees today, can't use his talent and his know-how to set up business opportunities, job opportunities, housing opportunities for the black people, the same as the white leaders have done for white people, then these black leaders need to get off the boat. They're not leading our people toward any kind of independence, but they're using their positions and their education and their talent to exploit our people worse than the slave master did during slavery.